So good stuff.
All right. All right, what it do, y'all? This your boy Pat coming to y'all live once again. Thank y'all for joining us this Friday evening because today's stream is a very special one right here. As you can hear by my little phone right there going off. I don't know. It's like that's just one of my things. I always forget to turn off my ringtone on my phone, so of course it's gonna let me know when something's going on, including my own streams right there. But like I said, today is a very special stream because I have with me the man himself, Sanguine from Means of the Zoos right here. What's going on, Sanguine, man?
Not much. And yourself?
All right, I'm feeling good right now. Just woke up from a good nap. I thought it was gonna be late at first before I realized, like, oh yeah, it's gonna be at 6, not at 5. So I'm like, shit, I gotta get on. So yeah, so I done beat myself. I done beat myself to my own stream, and I didn't even know it. So and I'm thinking I'm late as hell. All right, what's going on? Tow's up in the chat right now. But yeah, it's like I got Sanguine with me right now because last time when I did like a Millions of the Zoo, like stream, like he didn't get a chance to come on, and he had messaged me like, I forgot the stream was gonna be right there, and I'm like, it's okay, it's all right. So it's like we'll just do something like later on. That way we can get on, we can get you on, or I can do exact same thing. So it's like I'll be going like on the same thing like I did with with the rest of the minions right there, asking you like basically certain questions for this whole entire hour. And I hear you right there, phone. Shut up. I was like, everybody loves my goofy ringtone right there. So. Yeah, and that's it. Right now we got Towels, we got Tally in the chat right here. What's going on now?
Hey,
I was just talking to her early on. Yeah, so what we're gonna do right here is like for the next hour, I'm just gonna sit up here and I'm gonna just like ask you like questions about yourselves. Well, starting my first question, like you want to tell everybody about yourself right now?
Well, I have a weird work history, so I have a lot of random stories. I've been everything from a TA for Mandarin class to a nighttime concierge, EMT, correction officer, and now I'm a laboratory technician. So, just very eclectic history. I've played football, sung, acted, worked all kinds of weird jobs, and just left me with a rather interesting background knowledge, and I love just being able to talk about random shit.
I'm saying the same here, man. All right, so besides that, like all right, my next question is like, okay, so when did you get involved with like Means of the Zoo?
I got involved with Minions of the Zoo before our very first stream, and it was a bit before. So there's actually a recording that Inquisitor has that he has yet to finish editing. God damn it, Inquisitor. Which was just a number of us hanging out in a voice chat on the early Minions of the Zoo Discord, reading various articles. I was at work at the time, so my voice isn't heard, but the comments that I was typing in the general chat ended up getting read off. And the articles that we read that night are some of the most hilariously god-awful articles that we've ever gone over. So the one in particular that I keep on nagging Inquisitor about is there was an article about queer heterosexuality, which confused the fuck out of all of us until we found out that it was just being more banged out than the most horrendously abused Thai rent boy and being left more cum-crusted than even the horniest of teenagers' wank socks.
Sounds like some bad bisexuality.
Oh, it was god-awful. The entire time, it's just about this guy being part of a gay dance group within Los Angeles during the height of the AIDS epidemic called High Risk. And the entire time, I'm just typing away in the general chat on the Discord, going, At what point does this become heterosexual? Because right now it's just queer shit.
You know what I'm saying? And it sounds like some confusing queer shit there.
Mm-hmm. It was like someone decided that they would just write a fan fiction about the gayest man to have ever lived.
Oh,
and
man.
they were
go ahead.
selling that as queer heterosexuality. Not much heterosexuality in that story, though.
I know. It's kind of like a Slate article that I read not too long ago about this one person talking about they were a lesbian, but then of course, being quarantined, like they had sex with their male roommate right there, and then they started questioning themselves. So Ariel Scarcella, she had like basically posted up right there like, that's not how you lesbian. And I read through the whole entire thing, and I'm like, this reads is like a horrible fan fiction right here. Like somebody just made something up out of the damn blue and presented to the Slate, and the Slate just like, yeah, we're gonna post this.
Yeah, and then I saw the exact opposite article as well, and I can't remember who put it out, but it was a straight woman who started screwing around with her lesbian roommate and has been rather enjoying herself with that. And now she's going, am I still straight? Is this just like kind of being prison gay or something? What's going on here?
That's what I think. Like, I think it's just somebody just out there just trying to write some horrible fan fiction, presented as the truth. And of course, people are just like, yeah, let's put this out here. Because,
the ridiculous articles. Like I said, that night, if Inquisitor ever gets that edited, if Inquisitor's here, come on, Inquisitor, where's the edit? But that night, we read quantum sexuality, queer heterosexuality, and there was one other article that I can't remember. And just all of them, everyone was cracking the shits about. Because what the hell was going on? And it was after that night that we decided, you know what? Rather than just recording us chatting shit in the Discord chat, why don't we just stream it? So within about a couple weeks of that, the very first Minions of the Zoo stream happened, with, of course, Hammer being the keeper that night. And I think... Go ahead.
No, I was just like, agreeing with you right there.
And I think I was either the 4th or 5th official keeper for the Minions, though official is used somewhat lightly in this sense, since it was Hammer who figured out the streaming protocol, then Reject got on board with it as well. Hammer then taught Inquisitor just to make sure that he was good to go. And he was on Inquisitor's first night. And then it was either Poppy got trained next, or one of the nights following those three all being good. Inquisitor wasn't around, Reject wasn't around, and Hammer wasn't around, and it was stream time. So I threw together one of the most slapdash streams and got us live. And Hammer ended up joining in. He found it funny, so I got to continue being a keeper. So it was either just after Poppy had been trained or just before Poppy had been trained. So I'm either the 4th or 5th original keeper.
Because I remember them saying something like that on the last stream, which like bring me to my next question right here. Is like what do you feel like you bring to the Minions channel? Because I know everybody brings something like a different way. You got Inquisitor with his painting like his figurines. You got Chaos for like the gaming. Speaking of which, like Chaos just like joined right there. What's going on? And we got Tally right here when we were talking earlier about the story. She's talking about it's just bisexuality with extra steps. Like, yeah, but like I said, we have like Inquisitor, like with his figurine painting, like
Knights and right his there. Warhammer 40K knowledge.
Yeah, like when I get him right there, that's gonna be one thing I know he's gonna talk about a lot. And see, we got Reject, we got what is Platy still around?
Platy hasn't been on stream for a while, but Platy was one of the originals and also was a keeper for a long time, and then took over the game night.
Yeah, that's was and like with Chaos and Planet, like they were like the game nights. We have Prospero, who brings like all of the interesting stories, and of course with Skeptok as well. Of course he's like a Trekkie, and so like what do you like feel like you bring to like the means channel?
A certain degree of spurgery and the advantage of someone who is a spurg and spent their entire life getting absolutely fascinated about a topic and then annoying the shit out of everyone with it until they went, "Can't you talk about anything else?" So I found a different topic. And I became fascinated with that, obsessed with it, and then started annoying the shit out of them with that topic and just kept on swapping. So I have a wealth of just random goddamn knowledge.
Just whatever pops up.
Yep. Whatever caught my fancy, I just became completely engrossed in. So I have mythology, various sciences, histories, all kinds of just random things. I taught myself Elder Falthark when I was in, I want to say it was either 8th or 9th grade, just because I was in a mythology kick and I read Beowulf and I went, okay, what was the original script? Well, it was a later version of Elder Falthark, effectively. Screw it, I'll teach myself Elder Falthark.
I know, because many times I've been on Millions of the Zoo. It's like, and I think I've been on a couple of times on your night. It's just like it's always a fun time because you never know like what's going to be talked about, whether it's like current politics today or we just basically find like a topic that's wild on the internet and just goes through there and just have a whole lot of fun. It's like I've been on that. I've been on there for a great while. I know the last time I was on there, like I told one of my wild stories about how one of my friends, cheated on his girlfriend with this other girl. She found out, and oh man, that was just wild right there. Which I know if Prospero is still in the chat right there, I got some news for you. Like I said, those two have gotten back together.
Oh, and Tally wants to point out that I also bring food.
Yes, which I'm saying we're also going to get into that little topic right there because I know both. You like to cook, and I'm a chef myself, so it's like we have said we both love food, and when we get to talking about food, it's like just makes everybody hungry up in there. Like especially with the way you be bringing up, you don't just talk about food, you actually go like deep into the topics because I know like a lot of times when SD and Weibo are having like their with their live streams, like 2 girls 1 stream, and you would come in, you would basically explain like what you would like having the day, and you go into like the deep details, and I'm just like, damn, that sounds good right there.
I have a singular knack for making food sound lascivious.
I'm saying, and they don't be sounding good, they be looking good, like on this channel right here, which I'm gonna tell you right now, it is criminally underwatched and definitely criminally under sub. I'm like Jesus Christ, man, like you got one, like is you think it's because people don't know it exists, or just because
I am horrendous
right here
sharing my own stuff.
Yeah, it's like like this. And like all the stuff that you basically like showing right here, like the Mama Gun morsels right here, like everything that you've been going through, and like I've watched all these, and you're just going through here with great details, like I said, without showing yourself and things like that. And I'm like, this food is so goddamn good, and I should know because with the way I'll be cooking, like at my workplace, and when we catering, well, we haven't catered in a while, but it's like for my original job, we're still working. And we're still cooking things here and there, like for the doctors. So we managed to like do good things because like I think about a couple of days ago they had us like do like a little like thank you event for them, and we had to cook like chili and sea bass, and I'm like, wait a minute, isn't this shit like endangered? But they told me like I don't think it's endangered anymore, but it's like now they're keeping like a close knit.
Yeah, they tend to go through phases, so I think it's in kind of like a conservation fishing stance, as well as I'm not 100% sure with Chilean, but I think Chilean's one of them that has effectively almost farmed sea bass with it, where they just make these floating containers, kind of like a floating paddock almost.
Yeah.
That They just make sure that they go through, feed the fish, keep them in the proper environment, keep them safe, and then they are able to harvest the fish from that location.
Because I think they said they had to do like they had to keep like a close knit on them because it was basically due to like illegal fishing because it's
Mm-hmm.
so it was so on demand right there, but to the fact of what the numbers thin. So now it's like they've got them like basically coiled onto the point right there where it's like they're not endangered, but they're still not out of the red yet. So when I saw it right there, I'm like, wait a minute, how are we cooking this right here? And this is supposed to be endangered, but
Mm-hmm.
they got through it. It's like I tasted it. It's all right to me. I'm not a big fan of seafood. Like if I can, I can dodge it, but it's like but if I have to, I will go. And I think so far it's like my favorite thing that I like to cook so far. If it isn't salmon, it's flounder because we get a whole lot of like stuffed flounder and like one of my stuffed flounder recipes. Like basically you take like this flounder and we have like this cheese mixture where it's like you got the cheese, the garlic, and all that right there. It's like we're like making it all up, kind of like getting it like whipped, and we're like wrapping like the flounder around it. So it's kind of like I wouldn't say it's like a stuffed flounder, more like I'm saying like a flounder wrapped cheese ball.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of the proper term. Is it roulette? When it's a rolled roast that you fill with all kinds of goodness in there. Like you can do a beef roulette that will have different cheeses and mushrooms and herbs and seasonings. And you just make a paste out of that. You lay it down on a nicely trimmed and cut so it can be just laid out in this flat, uniform thickness. And then you just roll the roast, tie it off, sear it off on all sides. I think it's called a roulette or something along those lines, where it's a rolled roast. So kind of like that type of deal, where it's a rolled flounder roast.
Like our Prospero saying right here, like a roulette.
Yes, roulette. That was the word.
Something like that. So it's kind of like that, and of course, like with our salmon, it's like they mostly like it either smoked or like parent seared. Of course, we could do all that thing right there. Salmon or tuna are like basically like the two fishes I can mainly get around and things like that. Shrimp, I just can't do. Oh my god.
You don't like the sea bugs?
I do not like shrimp whatsoever. Now I can eat it if it's like in like a soup, like we have like a gumbo like every Friday where I work out. Now, if I can, if it's in the soup and I can like taste it like by itself, oh yeah, I can devour it. But by itself, like the fried shrimp, the shrimp scampi, especially shrimp scampi and shrimp Alfredo. I hate shrimp Alfredo. The smell of it just like, oh God, will y'all get this out of my face?
Yeah, it can always go a little bit dodgy when you start including cheese and seafood. One fish that if you like salmon, you probably like this other fish is trout. Salmon and trout have a very similar flavor profile. So
I haven't had trout yet, but it's like I've seen many recipes for
it. Yeah,
and tilapia.
Yep, tilapia is one of the most used fish because it's kind of like the chicken version, or it's the aquatic version of chicken. You can flavor it however the hell you want to flavor it. It can take on anything because it doesn't have as much flavor in and of itself. So it takes on flavors really well. Trout, like I said, is very much like salmon, and you can treat it exactly the same as you do salmon. So it's good even with just a bit of lemon, bit of garlic, slap that son of a bitch in an oven, let it roast up. You can smoke trout. You can do goddamn anything to it, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I know where I live at. Like I said, we don't get most of trout. Like now and Prosperous right here talking about what about catfish? Catfish, like yes, we at work also, we fry catfish. Now, if I can get it and it doesn't have the bones, that's another thing about me when it comes to like seafood, especially with fish. I hate picking out bones because I was raised Southern. And like we had that freshwater fish right there, so we catching like all our fish right there, like gut. I've learned how to, fish, gut them and all that right there. I hated catfish because you got to be, those things are basically tricky right there. Cause once they hit you with those hooks and things like that, like, mother.
Mm-hmm. And
But
catfish, I always find, is one of those things where sometimes you get a really good catfish, other times it just tastes muddy.
Oh yeah, especially like those big giant head ones, like.
Mm-hmm. So if you're able to get good catfish, it's delicious, but just a good chunk of the time they taste really swampy and muddy, which is a bit off-putting for me.
Yeah, and I'm glad where I lived at, like, they only got to like a certain size where, it was like riding real size. It wasn't like how you see some of them where they're basically out there and they're catching them with their fish and they're picking up these big giant suckers who have just damn near swallowed their arm. Like that's a little too much catfish for me.
The people going noodling, I think, is how they refer to it.
Yeah, and they're out there with like basically like big giant like gloves, just got their hands out there, and like all of a sudden it's like I got one, and all of a sudden they pull it up and it's way up here on your damn shoulder.
Yeah, it's like a 3-foot catfish that they just haul out, and you're going, son of a bitch.
That's not a catfish, that's a damn whale. Like this damn thing damn near ate you up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a tally up in the chat saying like crawfish is good. And like I'll say more for you, sweetie. I'm not a big fan of it. And all right, go ahead.
One of the things I find a lot of people that tend to shy away from certain types of seafood, especially shrimp. A lot of the reason is there's a hell of a lot of places that overcook the ever-living shit out of their shrimp. And every time I see that, it just makes me sad because shrimp, when it's cooked perfectly, is absolutely beautiful. It has a bit of like sweet saltiness almost to the meat. But if you overcook it just a little bit, it gets rubbery and just not at all pleasant to the mouthfeel.
Yeah, I've experienced that, like that rubbery, and especially like in our soups, like cause the way some of them they'll make that gumbo, it's like they'll basically like they'll cook off the shrimp first, and then like they'll basically they'll do like the meat and like all the shrimp together. Cause sometimes it's like shrimp gumbo, then it's like they'll add like pull it smoked sausage or whatever they can with it. And so by the time they cook off the shrimp, and then they're like basically add like all the meat and all the rest of the ingredients right there. And so they're like dumping it in and add it all together, plus with all the seasonings, it kind of gets a little, like a rubbery right there. Like I can barely chew on this thing right here. Yeah. So sometimes it gets that, but not when I'm cooking it right there, because I already know how I'm getting to it. All right, excuse me right there. I just accidentally hit my mute. I'm adding love into this whole entire thing.
Yeah, one of the things that it's a bit of a trick that you probably know it, but some of the viewers might not. If you want to include the shrimp flavor early, rather than cooking the meat of the shrimp early, what you do is you shell the shrimp and then you infuse the oil by cooking the shells of the shrimp in the oil. So it imparts that shrimpiness into the oil. Then you pull out the shells and then you start sauteing off whatever else you need to saute off. And then you add the shrimp at the very end, just enough time that they get warmed all the way through, they're cooked well, and they're curling slightly. If they're curled up into perfect little circles, they're overcooked. You want it to start to get a bend, and that's effectively it. You want it to just go to the point where it's a little bit opaque, but still kind of translucent in the very center. Carryover cooking will do the rest.
Yeah, like Shady Grins in the chat right here saying like talk about you speak of crawfish and I've never had it. To my southern cuisine doesn't last in SoCal. Right? Now, when it comes to crawfish right here, like I've seen like a lot of my family eat it because like some of my family there are like huge seafood lovers and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. I of course didn't grab that. And I've seen them like go through crawfish like it ain't nothing. Like they basically they'll just have a whole big tire like tub and all that right there where they basically they've cooked the hell out of these things right here, and of course they're ready to go. So they just basically pile it up on the table, and they have a go at it. So they just basically like picking them right there, ripping off the tails and even sucking out the ends. When I saw them doing it right there, I'm like, that's not me.
The head juice, though.
The head juice. I'm like, oh god. I'm pretty sure it's a delicacy out there for many, and like I'm not gonna hate on if you like it, love it. It's just my whole entire thing because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things that I eat and people be like, how the hell can you eat that right there? Because I'm Southern, so like one of these things like I like to eat is chitlins. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people have saw me like eat those. Like, how can you eat those things right here? And I'm like, man, how could you not? You just don't know what you're missing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they get cooked right, like me. Like at my family events, is like my mom can sit up here and she can take like six buckets, clean them whole entire thing, like make a whole big gigantic pot. And I guarantee you that pot will not last for 3 minutes with my family. Going to-
Yep. Yeah, I've always been a rather adventurous eater when it comes to food. So one of the things that I absolutely love when I see it on a menu and it
Mm,
is good are the offal. When you start talking about stomach and intestine and all that type of stuff, I love the flavor of it. There was a Asian place. It was a fairly traditional Chinese place in
mm,
Northern Virginia. Wait, no, it wasn't in Northern. It was just over in Maryland, wasn't it? Where when I was working as an EMT, I got sent to long distance transport, which wasn't all that long distance. It was probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. But we went up into Maryland, and someone mentioned that there was this one Chinese food place. We went. I ordered 2 orders of intestines stuffed with garlic that had
mm.
been just beautifully fried off. And my God, they're absolutely delicious. My partner looked ridiculously horrified by just me chowing down on intestine filled with garlic.
I know because when I used to live in Minnesota, like my girlfriend, and I found chitlins up there, and I told her on the days when I was going to eat chitlins, I'm like, sweetie, I love you, and that's what I'm gonna tell you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, you might want to leave for the whole entire day because I'm going to clean and I'm going to cook these things, and it is going to stink up the whole house.
Mm-hmm.
So I give her warning ahead of time. Now one of these days she didn't listen. Like she was in bed and she just like she was asleep and not so of course I'm getting down to my whole entire thing. I done cleaned them. I done put them in the pot and they done went to a boil and all of a sudden she just waking up like, what is that horrible smell? Like I told you what I was doing the next day.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't listen to me. So here it is. Like I told you,
Yep.
they stink to high hell, but they taste so damn good, especially when you grab that hot sauce right there. Like, man,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was,
it's the same with those little bits of intestine that I was getting. If you're cleaning them out, just goddamn it, you're literally flushing what aspired to be shit at some point from
yeah, some
it. But get it properly cleaned out, stuff that garlic, like fry them off, and just yes.
exactly. All right, which get back on my questions. Like, so since we're talking about food right now, it's like I'm
Mhm.
saying, like, do you have like what's your favorite and what's your least favorite?
Least favorite's really easy to answer because I mentioned the spurgery earlier. One of the things that unfortunately I have due to the spurgery is I have certain texture aversion.
Hmm.
So I love raw carrots. Give me a bowl full of raw carrots, something to dip them in. I'm like a pig in shit. But if you have cooked carrots, I don't like cooked carrots. The slight mush to them, even when they're still crisp, there's always that texture change, and it just, for some reason, puts me entirely off of them. So I can deal with when they're used in like a pot roast to give more flavor to the broth and to the gravy at the end, but I can't have them on my plate because they're wrong. Just hide them away. But so that's an easy one for least favorite. Another one that is in the least favorite category was the only meat that I've ever had that my body just went, no, never again, stop, which was I had pigeon jiaozi. So the story
pigeon what?
Pigeon jiaozi. So the story behind this is I was in China the first time that I went to China. So I was in between like my 3rd and 4th grade year, I think, of school, and family went over to China, got to go, fantastic trip, loved it. We went to this one restaurant in Xi'an, and this restaurant is renowned for the fact that it has over 1,000 different types of jiaozi. Jiaozi's Chinese dumplings. So we just got a ridiculous selection while we were there. We got frog, we got lotus, we got locust, we got beef and chicken and pork and all kinds of other animals. Every animal that we had on that table, I loved, with the exception of pigeon. Pigeon is just wrong. It doesn't seem like something that you should eat when it gets in your mouth. It was, again, an entire textural issue. So the flavor probably was not that bad, but it was just the texture of the pigeon jiaozi. And my body went, nope, can't do, get it out. But those two are probably my least favorite. Favorite becomes very difficult for me because it kind of depends on my mood. If I'm in a very, I want comfort food mood, hands down, it has to be cottage pie. And for those of you who don't know what cottage pie is related to shepherd's pie. So shepherd's pie is when it's a lamb mince used in the making. Cottage pie, oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying shepherd's pie is so damn good.
Oh, yeah. The brown gravy that you make as you cook off the mince and you add in the Worcestershire and all the different seasons. Yeah, that is absolutely amazing. Cottage pie is shepherd's pie's cousin. So cottage pie is when it isn't lamb. So if you have a beef shepherd's pie, no, you had a cottage pie. And cottage pie is delicious. It's effectively the same exact recipe as shepherd's pie, just substitute the lamb for beef. And that was the dish that I grew up on, and I constantly would surprise people because when I was young, very young, like 1st grade, I was one of the smallest kids in my class. I would still be able to polish off a family-sized portion of cottage pie without batting an eye. So I ended up accidentally surprising my grandmother at one point because she made cottage pie for everyone, and I ate about 3/4 of it without realizing it.
Because it was just that good.
Yeah, I would just scoop out get a helping, and I'd start eating. My plate would be clean while everyone's still just starting on their portion. I'd ask if I could have another. She'd scoop out another portion, polish it off. By the time that I finished, 3/4 of the large thing of shepherd's pie that she had made were absolutely gone. And the remaining quarter was being split between everyone else that was eating that night.
Yeah, like Sanguine and took it all.
Yep. And it has always just been one of my favorite foods.
Mm.
But if we're talking in general, that becomes really difficult because you can't overlook a beautifully done steak
Oh yeah.
when it's that perfect medium rare, as close to rare as it can be, so it's warm all the way through, but it's still nice, and that red just barely going to pink color throughout the meat, and it's tender, it's juicy, it's flavorful with those beautiful Maillard reactions on the surface, just adding that little added note of depth of flavor, just the right amount of salt so it doesn't become salty. It's just the salt is upping every flavor that you're tasting. And you couple that with really good mash or baked potato, or even better, make up some colcannon, which is mashed potato with cabbage mashed in it, and then finished off with green onion or leek.
Yes. Yeah, especially like green onion, leek, or chives.
Yep. And it's absolutely amazing. It is some of the creamiest, most delectable mash that you could ever have. Because one of the things that you do for colcannon is rather than using milk for the potatoes, you use heavy cream.
Yes.
So it's just this rich, thick, amazing mash. And you have to make sure that you warm up the cream beforehand. That way it doesn't become wallpaper paste.
Yeah.
But if it's beautifully made colcannon, that's just a thing of absolute beauty. And then pair those two with either like an ear of corn or some steamed peas, just finished with a bit of lemon juice and a pat of butter mixed in so that they're almost sauced by themselves with that butter and that lemon juice. And that is one of the most perfect meals that you can plate up, in my opinion. It is simple, but every element of that plate is just almost intoxicatingly delicious.
Oh yeah, like me with my steaks, it all depends. Like like I'm more of a mashed potato person, like with my steak, than I am a baked potato. But when I do baked potatoes, like for my other side right there, it's usually either green beans or asparagus. Now that's another right there. Like, man, you get asparagus right there, especially like I'm saying, like with like some oil and like some good lemon pepper right there, and oh man, like you could just sit up there and plus I just love green beans to the max. When we do those right there, I can just sit up there and just eat those things like candy. Like, so I'm like eating green beans as I'm like making them when I'm at work right there. So like basically like a quarter of them done already went through my damn belly because I'm just I'm just tearing them up.
Yep. Yeah.
I love me some green beans whatsoever.
Asparagus is absolutely amazing with that, and it can be done so many different ways. If you're not able to grill your steak, because let's say you live in an apartment or something like that, so you're having to pan-sear your steak. After you've pan-seared your steak and some of that tallow has melted out of the steak, because for those who don't know what tallow is beef fat that has been melted out. It's been kind of refined almost. Kind of like how lard is pig fat, but it's pig fat that has been effectively processed out of the pig. Same thing with tallow. The best way of making tallow is with just melting down some suet.
Yeah.
Over a long period of time, just really low and slow. Let the fat just slowly drip out. Drain it off into your containers as it goes, but just keep that going until you're just left with these little crispy chunks that won't give anything else, and then you know that you're done rendering your tallow. But after you've cooked your steak and there's still that amazing fat in the bottom of the pan and those little crispy bits on your pan, the fond, as it's known in cooking. Throw in your asparagus, especially pickled asparagus, is amazing like this. Toss it in that, just lightly salt it, let it absorb the flavors of that amazing tallow. Get a nice bit of char on them almost, and then plate them up next to that steak. Oh my God.
I'm saying, man, it's like, yeah, man, it just be so wonderful. And I told everybody, like, this is gonna be like a mostly like on food stream right there. So if they came in here hungry, yeah, they were gonna be
Mhm.
like, you guys suck. Y'all sitting up here making me hungry, talk about all this wonderful, delicious food. I warned y'all. Yeah, but like I remember one time, like I was actually on Twitter and I actually almost caused a fight on there because they had put out a tweet like about basically like giving like all the like all the basically like styles of steaks out there from
Mhm.
extra rare all the way down to like well done, and they were saying like which one do you like? And me, of course, like me, okay, I'm black, y'all, so of course I like my steak between medium and medium well right there. The only time I will like it well done is like I will like it well done if I'm going to eat it like right then and there, because a well done steak is like you got to eat it right then and there, and you got to have like a ton of like A1 steak sauce or whatever you're gonna eat it right there, because it's gonna be so like yeah, if you let it get cold, the shit's gonna taste like rubber. So it's like best, like I'm saying, like how Sanguine goes. If you're gonna be like I'm saying rare to mid rare right there, that way you can really enjoy it and you get out all those great juices. But it's like
Mhm.
I learned how to eat mine basically like medium well, because like like I don't know, I'm not even worried about a little bit of pink in my food and all that right there.
Mhm.
Compared to other black people, it's like they want their shit all the way done.
Yeah, I could never eat a steak that is. I can eat it up to about medium. If it's
Mhm.
medium, it's still tasty.
Yeah.
If it goes much past that, it just ends up being too dry of a meat,
Mm-hmm.
and at that point, it seems like the life has been cooked out of it. Which no, I want
Yeah.
those amazing juices just to run out as I'm cutting the meat, because
That,
that adds so much more.
that's how I am. It's like I want it to be tender and juicy, but it's like I've never been able to like get used to like eating rare to where it's like, god damn, this thing is damn near still dead. It's like and I've had, I worked in restaurants before and I've had people actually like I'm saying, like they wanted extra rare, just basically like just
Blue.
sear it on a couple of sides, like like give it like I'm saying 5 seconds on each side right there. I'm like, this thing is damn. And they will devour it. They will devour this sucker. Like, cause for them, if it's mooing, they're chewing. So.
Yep. Yeah, I've never quite developed the taste for blue, which is, for those who haven't dealt with cooking terms before, a blue steak is the rarest of rare, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're talking cooking, you end up with blue, rare, med, med well done. And I never developed a taste for blue because for me, it has to be body temp all the way through at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
And really, ideally, at the very most, also body temp all the way through. I love that medium rare, as close to rare as it can be while still being warmed through. That's my ideal.
Yeah, so I'm saying like, and what's going on with like Cryptic and Johnny Hellcat who just joined the chat right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another thing I want to talk about right here, because this is like my ultimate thing. Is like if I had to really like choose like a favorite food of anything right there, it would have to be barbecue. Now, me living down here in Texas right here, we love us some barbecue, man. And if you've seen a lot of my, a lot of me on Twitter and things like that, of me like during the holidays, whether it's Christmas, especially like if it's 4th of July, because I think last 4th of July down here, me and my cousins, they came all the way from Dallas, and some came from like California. We had a big giant like family reunion get together and things like that. So we popped out that grill, man, and oh my God, we had ribs, we had chicken, we had the smoked sausage, we had the hot links. All of it was on that grill right there. I mean, smoking, ready to go, and especially like my ribs, man. Now I'm a huge fan of ribs, and the way I do it basically like I will like marinate. I'll marinate my meat, seasoned up. I'll do it overnight, so that way I can cook it up in the morning. And my seasons, what I basically do is like I'll take like my garlic not my garlic pepper, but I'll take like my garlic powder, cayenne pepper, dark chili powder. I'll have like brown sugar up in it. And a little salt and pepper also add them right there, and I'll just mix it up like that. That'll just be my rub. Now you can like I know a lot of other people like they'll go like certain like measurements and things like that. I just basically put a cup of each up in there and just mix it all up together, and then I just basically like take my ribs. I'm more of a baby back kind like and so I'll basically like right there I'll basically like seasoned up like and marinated and let it sit overnight, so that next day when I'm cooking them, it's like whether I'm cooking them on the grill. If I'm not cooking them on the grill where I have to cook them up in the oven and things like that, I will slow cook them to the fact where it's like as soon as you like grab them with them tongues right there and you lift it up a little bit and they start falling off the bone right there.
Exactly.
They're perfect. That's what you want to do. You want to get them to the fact where they fall off the bone, where you can just barely pick them up a little bit, and they're already peeling away at the bone right there. That's when like perfect. And your barbecue sauce, man, like if you're gonna make it, I'm the type basically like I'm saying, I'll take like some basically some regular barbecue sauce. I like to have hot, not too hot, but I'm more of a medium kind. So I'll probably add like Tabasco sauce and a little like red pepper up in it, like some of my rub, and I'll mix up into like the sauce right there, so I can just basically base them up with the ribs. And I'll basically like slide them back up in there, let them basically cook inside. Then I'll add them with another second coat of barbecue sauce right there, and man, those things be heaven. That's why I said, like, Tally, when you come down here and visit, and I'm making some ribs right here, you might not want to go home.
So, what type of barbecue sauce do you use as a base? Do you go for the sweet tomato base? Do you go for the tangy vinegar base? Do you go for the mustard base? What type?
I'm the tangy vinegar kind right there.
Very nice. That's the type that I always go for. That tangy vinegar base. Oh, hell yeah. I am a big fan of that Carolina vinegar. Oh,
man. And if I do, if I don't make my own barbecue sauce and things like that, like I'll basically use like that KC Masterpiece. Like, that's some good barbecue sauce to me right there. That or they have like Famous Dave's. Like those, I'm saying those are like my two best kinds right there. Which like it's kind of hard to get Famous Dave's down where I live at, so it's like I mostly have to like order it online. But when I do get it, plus like one of the most popular places down here that we have where I live is it's a place called Big Jake's. Like so. They'll have some like barbecue to sell. So like I'll kind of like use those if I would go eat today's spot right there. But mostly it's like I'm making my own, and it's like I'm saying nothing beats cooking your own right there, man. So especially like especially like if you get that real good type of meat, and if it's not ribs, man, the brisket, which like all right, what's your favorite type? Like you in a barbecue?
I love barbecue, and I love ribs. I love brisket. I love pulled pork. And unfortunately, I live in an apartment, so I can't do a smoker where I am. But one way that I do my pulled pork is I sous vide the motherfuck out of that thing. And sous vide pulled pork is absolutely ridiculous and beautiful because of it. Because it's being cooked in all the fat that melts down from the shoulder, all the juices just concentrate in the pork itself. and the flavors just build and build and build. So when you break that bag open and you start shredding it, it is some of the moistest, juiciest pork that you could possibly imagine.
I
And
know it's like you can't see me right now, but if you can just only see my face, just imagine this, like, man.
mhm. And I'll just get a good size picnic roast shoulder section, bring it home. If it has a bone, I'll most of the time just leave the bone in because anything cooked around a bone. And once it has been in the sous vide, because you sous vide that thing for at least like 3 days.
Mhm.
So it's just this ridiculously tender, perfectly cooked pork. Not a section of it gets even a hint of overcooked. So you just break that down, pull out the bone. If it doesn't have the bone, that sucks, but still do the same thing. And if I don't make my own seasoning for it, then one of the best seasonings that I've found is Adam's Rib Seasoning.
Mm.
So it was a company that. Did you ever watch MASH?
Yes.
So there's an episode where Hawkeye's talking about the best barbecue that he's ever had, and it's Adam's Rib Barbecue. This company got its inspiration from that episode and made Adam's Rib Barbecue. So you can buy their seasoning online. It is absolutely beautiful mix. So if you don't feel like mixing your own, Adam's Rib, I will definitely wholeheartedly recommend, but I do mix my own a hell of a lot as well.
Mm.
And as you've probably seen from my cooking channel, I love garlic. So I'll mix in black garlic and smoked garlic and white garlic, and I'll get all those together. Then I'll start adding various spices depending on what type of flavor profile I want to go for. Because when you're making your own, you can do anything that you goddamn want. You can make a Mediterranean pulled pork as much as some people would be going, that seems slightly blasphemous. It is delicious.
So you're more of a pulled pork fan, or just like it all just depends?
Oh, it all depends. Pulled pork's the easiest and the best to make because I don't have a smoker. But if I had a smoker, ribs and brisket, hell yeah.
Oh man,
absolutely love those.
yeah. Like what about when it comes to like your brisket? Like I said, are you like the like the fatty kind, or you like basically like lean? Because me, I used to like the fatty kind, but now, like I'm saying, now that I'm getting up there in age where I can't like have it as much, it's like I have like a little fat on mine still, but like I'm saying, it's mostly like lean on mine, where it's like I'll cook it with the fat, but I have to trim it as it goes. But man, that fat be so goddamn delicious, and I'm like, damn, I hate I can't have you because woo. Yeah, especially when it's really, really, really tender, man. It's been smoking for like a good hot second.
That just reminded me of something that if you haven't seen this channel, you need to watch some of its videos. Have you ever heard of, I think it's Guga Cooking? Let me quickly double check that that's the right name. He's absolutely insane and I love it. Dude has all kinds of different cuts of meat that he experiments with, and he experiments all the way up. It's Guga Foods.
All right, I see.
Guga space Foods. All
right, I'm gonna have to look that up right there, because that's one thing I like. I like watching other cooking channels. Like if I can find some ideas right there, like, yeah, that sounds good right there. Let me check it out, because I know even though I'm a chef and I like to cook, and I haven't cooked everything out there, so it's like once I found something interesting, it's like, yeah, that sounds interesting right there. Let me check it out. My number one thing I don't like to bake as much.
See, I can bake, I can cook, I love it all, but with Guga Foods, the video that you need to watch, just because it will have you absolutely just drooling all over yourself, is the 60-day dry aged brisket experiment.
Oh, okay.
Because he dry ages a full brisket.
Mhm.
And then he trims it up right before he smokes it. And the fat on that goddamn brisket just, he rests it the proper amount of time when he first slices into it. It's just water falling down the meat.
And you know that's just like, man.
It looked absolutely amazing. It was insane. And I love lean briskets, good, but fatty brisket, the fat's the flavor. I know it's not the healthiest, but give me some of that fatty brisket.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, it's not the healthiest, but it tastes so damn good, man. Like I said,
Mhm.
and sometimes it can be good just plain, but when you add like that good barbecue sauce to it, it's like, man,
Mhm.
I'm gonna hurt myself eating this.
And because I saw Tally request one specific thing be explained, she wanted you to ask me about my naughty mac and cheese. Because
All
I
right.
was explaining it to her one night on stream. It all
Yeah.
starts with what I call the sinful mother.
Mm-hmm.
So, you've, of course, heard of the mother sauces, right?
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, there's, I think it's 5 sauces that are called the mother sauces. They are the start of pretty much every other European sauce that you can imagine. One of them is the bechamel. I make a sinful version of this. So a standard bechamel uses normally milk is
Mm-hmm.
one of the ingredients. No. That's not enough for mine. My sinful mother is I start with what I call doubled cream. So the UK and most of the Anglosphere has double cream, which is a much higher fat content than American heavy cream. You can't always find double cream. What I was able to find is I was able to find a company that sells the dried milk fats.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a bag of milk fats in one of my cupboards that I'll take heavy cream and I'll dissolve a hell of a lot of these milk fats, effectively doubling the fat content of my heavy cream, which is why I call it a doubled cream. So rather than being the, 36% milk fat of heavy cream, this is now a 72%.
Nice.
This cream, when it starts out, is damn near butter concentrations of milk fat. So I'll start with that, and it just makes this ridiculously thick, unctuous bechamel. Absolutely amazing. And just heightens all the flavor, even creamier, even just goddamn, it's amazing. And I'll infuse it with whatever I want to infuse it with at the time, sometimes bay leaves and various other herbs and seasonings. But after making that sinful mother, what I then do is I prepare several different types of cheese. So I'll normally do a couple smoked cheeses at the very least. I think when I did the sinful mother and mac and cheese episode on my channel, I think I did 4 smoked cheeses, and they were a smoked Gouda, a applewood smoked cheddar, an
Mhm.
oak smoked cheddar, and I think I also had a hickory smoked cheddar.
Oh yeah,
So,
smoke good is very good.
yep. And then I also added in a mild cheddar, unsmoked, and a sharp cheddar, unsmoked as well. So I mixed or shredded up the cheddars, threw them in, just started mixing the sauce, and letting all that cheese melt down into the already ridiculously indulgent bechamel that I had made. got it to all just come together in this amazingly thick sauce. Added in the Gouda just to add another note to the cheddars. And then, of course, some Parmesan, because you always need some Parmesan in a proper mac and cheese mix.
Oh, yeah. As I said, did you ever make this on your channel?
Yes, I made this on my channel. It is the Mac and Cheese and Sinful Mother episode of Maghghamhain Morsels. So I did all that, then boiled up my pasta, mixed the pasta in. I think I also, in the episode, fried up some bacon, mixed the bacon into the sauce as well. Poured that out into a good Pyrex bakeware, and then I mixed up some Parmesan, some breadcrumbs, and a couple herbs and some garlic, if I remember correctly. Sprinkled that on top, put that into an oven, let it get that amazing crust on top. Everything else, just that ooey gooey goodness of the Sinful Mother and those cheeses just clinging to every little nook and bend of the pasta that I threw in. And that's one dish that it is absolutely amazing, and you will want to eat it every day. Do not eat it every day. For the love of God, do not eat it every day. I do not want to be responsible for that number of heart attacks. But if you have a time where you're just in a completely indulgent mood and you are somewhat hating your heart, try that mac and cheese. Just goddamn.
Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna have to try to. Like I said, just have to basically watch how you just prepare right there, and just do it myself. I'm saying, see how it goes. Oh man. If y'all don't hear from me the next day, y'all know why, because
and what is also amazing about that mac and cheese is that cheesy bechamel that you use in order to make that. If you make a bit too much for just making the mac and cheese, that's not too much to worry about. Pour that shit over some roasted potatoes. It's absolutely sinful. Use it as a dipping sauce for anything that you like a cheesy dipping sauce for. Good God. It can be used in a score of different ways, and it is, again, just absolutely sinful.
I'm saying, because it sounded so damn good. I said, I'm saying Becca right here, most of the stream has basically been food porn, which I warned everybody, like, once we got into food right there, it was gonna be on.
And
let me get that off right there.
Not a problem. And because
Go ahead.
Chaos Eve is in stream, I do have to taunt her with a memory that she has and go into another dish that is a bit of a specialty for me. And that is the hangover loaf, or as one of my fellow minions has dubbed it, the lambus loaf. Which
you want to explain that? Like I said, we got time for overtime.
Yep. So I mentioned that I like baking, and what the hangover loaf or lambus loaf is the standard size for a loaf of bread, the 1 pound loaf size. In a 1 pound loaf of bread, or the size of a 1 pound loaf of bread, this bread it's, to begin with, an absolutely amazing country white loaf. So the bread of it is just fantastic. It's homemade. I do everything by hand for this bread. So you start off with that. Then in that 1 pound loaf has over a pound of smoked cheddar cheese. And it has about a pound or a little bit over a pound of smoked bacon. And when I made it for the MythCon that a bunch of the minions, or that a number of the minions went to.
Oh, this was during the MythCon like thing.
Yep. The slice that Skep held up in front of the camera and said, "This slice weighs more than my Glock," that's the bread that he's talking about. And every single slice of this bread has bacon and that smoked cheddar cheese and that ridiculously hearty and beautifully light and fluffy tasting, while confusingly dense feeling country white bread. And it got its original name of hangover loaf from my group of friends in Northern Virginia when I lived there, because we got together for a party. I decided to make this bread. We were drinking fairly heavily throughout the night, and a number of my friends end up with some fairly severe hangovers at the end of this. And pretty much every single one of them that ended up with a hangover, if they had a slice of the bread, they started feeling remarkably well. So,
break them right out of it.
Yeah, it was determined that the hangover loaf was the perfect cure for hangovers, hence the name. And Skep named it the Lambus loaf because eating a slice of it made you feel like you could go for days without eating anything else. Just due to how delicious and dense and packed with everything this bread was.
Yeah, ooh, God, no, sounding so good. Like I'm saying, all the stuff that I'm sitting up here that we've been talking about. I'm like, damn, it's 7 o'clock and I am hungry as hell right now. Shit, I just ate about an hour ago. But all the stuff we talking about, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna raid this fridge in a few moments, and I'm gonna find a little something. I can just imagine what I'm gonna do tomorrow because I got the next 2 days off. So, and hopefully, it's gonna be good because it tried to rain today, but I hope it doesn't. But all right, but before we leave, I have to ask this question because this is always one question that I plan to ask everybody who I live stream with doing this. Okay, and that question is, do you have a favorite person, like favorite actor, like or a YouTuber or things like that? And if you do, like if you could meet that person right now, would you?
Is it favorite alive or dead?
It could be alive or dead.
Oh, hell yeah, that would be fun to meet them. And I think my current favorite alive or dead person that I would want to meet just because it would be kind of mad and interesting is just being able to meet Asimov. Being able to just sit down and shoot the shit with Asimov, the man who has at least one work in every section of the Dewey Decimal. That would be fascinating. Just being able to geek out about that number of topics and chat with someone who is rather knowledgeable and is responsible for one of my favorite sci-fi series of all time, of course, the Foundation series, which, if you like sci-fi and you haven't read it, read the Foundation series. It is a fascinating work because it is the story of a people, effectively. Because from the very beginning of the very first book to the end of the original trilogy, or if you read beyond the original trilogy, it's even longer. But from the beginning of the first book to the end of the third in the trilogy is over a couple hundred years of just snapshots of different crises that this civilization has had to go through, of this people. And it is absolutely a ridiculous, fascinating idea. and I loved the execution. It's fantastic. If you like sci-fi, read that. If it's Alive, then I'm still going to go for a... Actually, if it's Alive, I'm a bit more split because I have 2 or 3 authors that I think would be hilarious to have a conversation with. One is, again, a sci-fi author, Peter F. Hamilton, who wrote the Commonwealth trilogy as well as the Void trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's fascinating because he's writing sci-fi, and one of his primary heroes in the sci-fi is effectively a super capitalist, which is weird for sci-fi currently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing.
I think we made Prospero hungry. She's got to go make dinner.
And then another one is Larry Correia. Dude's weird, has a weird backstory, and just seems like it would be funny as shit to hang out with. And then the third and final is Jim Butcher, because, again, he just seems ridiculous to pick the brain of and hang out with.
Nice. Like, that's some nice choices right there. I know most everybody's been like, hey, if I can meet this person right here, I wouldn't, because I'm afraid that, that they'd be like a total jerk, which I understand the thing right there. But like I said, those were some great choices. Yeah, like and like Prospero said right there, like I'm pretty sure like everybody's like getting hungry now, including myself. So it's like, and like this has been a great stream, but I knew it was gonna turn out to be that way because I'm saying we both love food, we both love to cook and explain how we're cooking and things like that. So I knew we were just gonna basically click right there. Like, man, we're gonna get to talking about food. We're gonna just go off the trails and things like that, and I'm probably gonna forget the majority of my questions, which I did. because we got to that topic right there, and I'm just like, you know what? It's been all right, man, because we kept everybody entertained, and I know we done made them hungry as hell. So I was like, so we're gonna end it right there. Like, say thanks to everybody who came on to the chat. Like, also, like, thank you, Sanguine, for like doing this for me, and like if you ever get. Oh yeah, and if you ever get the chance, like I said, check out his YouTube channel, like Sanguine. Let's see,
Sanguine Mathghamhain.
Yeah, Sanguine Mathghamhain, where you basically see him like basically making all his dishes right there. Like, oh my god, yeah, Mama Gone morsels, and like, yeah, I got to rewatch the one about the mac and cheese right there, just see how you do it, see if I can just try it out myself, and hopefully I won't hurt myself, eating it. like boy, you done ate so much, you done put yourself in the coma. Damn. And also, like,
that one's dangerous.
Like, so check out his channel right there. And I'm saying, not only that, you can check him out. What are nights on Lords of the Zoo?
I am the Wednesday night keeper of Minions of the Zoo, and I tend to be on a fair bit on Thursdays and Fridays as well.
Yeah, so you might be on tonight.
I am going to be on tonight, last hour.
All right. Sweet, like I said, and I should be up to watch it. I'm saying I might be able to join if it's not filled up right there.
Fantastic. I think it's Prospero is currently running tonight. So
oh yeah, right now, she's going to get her dinner on right there.
Yep.
So if we're both over right there, she's probably gonna be like, "You assholes, you made me so." So yeah, like so be sure to check out his YouTube channel also as well on Minions of the Zoo right there. And of course, this has been your host, your boy Pat. I've had fun with everybody up in here who's all joined from. Let's see, we got TOS right here. We got Tally. We had Chaos. We had Prospero, Becca. Let's see who else we had up there. We had Cryptic, Shady. Let's see, we had Check Your Logic up in here. We had Towels. Well, we had Johnny Hellcat earlier. Oh man, everybody who came up in the stream right now. If I'm missing you, I'm sorry. I'm trying to do my best to see WR Carlson. I'm trying to get everybody up in here because I appreciate it. We had Poppy up in here as well earlier. Like I said, I love everybody who came here and joined us tonight. Like we had fun entertaining you, talking to y'all and making y'all hungry as hell. And I love each and every one of y'all for coming here. So like, thank you for everybody, who joined us, listened to us, and just had fun. So until we meet again, this is your boy Pat along with Sanguine right here saying good morning, good evening, and good night.
Have a good one, all.